I the a-hole for saying that it's my sister's fault her husband is divorcing her? My 27 female sister, 32 female, is currently in the process of divorce started by her husband, 40 male. They were married for a total of 2 years. The problem started with brother-in-law wanting his own biological kids, I'll explain later, and my sister not wanting them. She was always against having kids, but the moment they started seeing each other, she started making certain changes about herself. He had a courtesy of telling her quite early where he wanted the relationship to go, and my sister at that point went from no to maybe to one day, and then yes. They got married. But maybe the realization finally hit her when we went to meet our cousin who had given birth. Yes, a new mother's body is not exactly the epitome of sexy because pregnancy does things to a mother's body. I could tell sister was detracting. And it was still early in the marriage when I asked her to reconsider and end the marriage now before it's too late. She was adamant that she wanted a child, but I could tell she was flaky. She never talked to me, but she would talk to our mother, and I would hear from her how brother-in-law was still going on about wanting a child, but she's not feeling like wanting a child anymore. Oh boy. A month ago, brother-in-law reached his limit, and finally asked sister to be upfront, and she straight up told him she does not want to be a mother, and started offering alternatives like adoption. Brother-in-law did not want to hear any of that, and sister came to live with us. As to why brother-in-law wants biological children, he was previously married and has 2 children. Then he found out that neither of them are biologically his. He pays child support but does not see the kids anymore. Understandable. Sister also knew this, but maybe love blinds people. She is here bawling her eyes out because brother-in-law started the divorce proceedings and does not want any sort of compromise. Parents have been giving brother-in-law crap for days now, and so is sister now about how stubborn he is, and wish she could see it before. It got annoying to a point where I told her that it was her fault that she was not ready, lied to him, and now expect him to accommodate, fully knowing his side, and that her foolishness impacted the life of 2 people. Now they're angry at me for taking his side. Am I the a-hole? If so, what can I do to make it right? I'm not going to retract my words because they're exactly what she did. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She lied to her husband by pulling a bait and switch on him. That's really shady. She's getting what she deserves for doing that and just can't accept that. All you did was tell her the truth. These aren't the type of things you can just change your mind on when you marry someone, at least without consequence. She needs to commit one way or another because waffling on something as high gravity as this will doom her relationships to failure now and in the future. Props to you, Opie, for giving your sister a hard dose of reality. Did she pull a bait and switch, or did the reality hit her that she didn't want to go through pregnancy? Yes, that is possible. But she still didn't tell her husband that she had changed her mind. He had to confront her to even get her to tell the truth. Everyone sucks here except brother-in-law. This is a deal breaker for him. Ed is making the right choice. Compromise either way would only breed resentment and ruin what's left of their marriage. It's better and more responsible to cut it off now so they can find people who are fundamentally more compatible. Your sister definitely should have been honest. This is a situation of her own making because she tried, out of love, to want something she does not want. However, you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to rub salt in her wounds, and you've done her no favors for it. Your parents need to stop blaming brother-in-law. She doesn't need to forgo biological children just because she doesn't want them. He's not wrong for making this choice. He'd only be wrong if he tried to force her into pregnancy after she'd outright said no. He didn't. She made herself clear, so he left. That's unfortunate, but that's all it is. Real, true support does not come from blasting the other person for the things they want for themselves. Less focus on him, more on her. And you learn to read a room. Tact is a valuable resource, and given that this is a sensitive subject, you should take your hints from that and be sensitive. There's nothing at all to be accomplished from telling her truths like that. You should apologize. Not because you stated something untrue, but because you were unwittingly or otherwise cruel to a family member who is already suffering. That was very well put. I agree with everyone sucks here. Unless you were directly asked for your opinion, Opie, then what you have done is kicked someone while they were down. You don't have to lie to her, but you don't have to wield the truth like a hammer either. She will get plenty of that in the divorce proceedings. Info. How do you know that your sister wasn't lying to herself and telling her husband what she believed was true at the time? Given what you have said about her freaking out about what pregnancy does to a woman's body and suggesting adoption, it sounds like your sister is opposed to giving birth, not to having children, and maybe she initially thought she could push past that fear for something she wanted with her husband. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her being a stay-at-home mom is a joke and she's just selfish? I want to make it clear I'm not slagging off being a stay-at-home mom, just my sister's version of it. I know how much hard work it is and I'm not putting anyone down for it. But my sister really does just sit around doing nothing all day, while somebody else does all the work, and then whines about how hard it is being a stay-at-home mom, and I've had enough of it. My sister Carol, 26 female, and I, 24 female, have always been polar opposites, so we do clash on quite a few things, but generally we are close. She has 2 kids, Rose 6 female and Ty 7 male, and I have a son Oz 2, and they're really close. Carol has always been a stay-at-home mom ever since she left school, and never had a job, whereas I've always been career-driven. My job's hours can be long and irregular, but I love it. Though if ever say I'm tired or I've had a hard day, Carol has to one-up me and say how she's even more tired or has had an even harder day because she's a stay-at-home mom, so works 24/7. The thing is, all the things a stay-at-home mom does, she doesn't. Both kids are in school, and her husband Dan is the one that gets them ready, helps with homework, cooks all the meals, they have a cleaner. And Carol doesn't drive, so my mom picks kids up from school and looks after them till Dan gets home from work. Most weekends, Dan will bring the kids over to me. I live a 10-minute walk away, so Carol can have a break. So I don't have much sympathy for her, but most of the time I just let it go. But last week was half term. I was able to get most of the week off, but on Friday there was an emergency at work, so I needed to go in immediately. My husband was away, and my nanny and babysitter were busy, so I asked Mom if she could look after Oz as I had to go into work urgently, but she couldn't as she was looking after Rose. I asked where Carol was, and Mom told me she was at home but was feeling tired, so needed rest. I said that she could bring Rose over, but she couldn't as Rose had friends over for a playdate. But I took Oz and rushed over to Carol's house to beg Mom to take him. While I'm talking to Mom, Carol came down. I explained the situation, but she said that as Rose has friends over, it would be inappropriate for Oz to be there. So I asked why Mom couldn't take Oz back home for a few hours and Carol watched the girls. Carol seemed offended by the suggestion that she should look after her own child herself. And I had about had enough and knew this was just wasting time when I had to get to work. So I said, well, thanks for nothing, and left and took Oz to work with me. It worked out fine, but I was pissed with Carol. So today I went over to Carol's. I wanted to put the situation behind us and move on, but she brought it up. She said she was waiting for an apology from me. When I left, she told me I just don't get how hard being a stay-at-home mom is. I told her she doesn't even know what a hard job is, and that the fact she calls herself a stay-at-home mom is a joke, and that she's just lazy and selfish. I left and she told me that I'm not welcome back. Not today, Hall. As a stay-at-home mom myself, I do know how hard it is, but I have also worked a full-time job. Neither is easier than the other, and it sounds like the real problem is she's selfish and lazy, not with her workload. Not today, Hall. She's the worst. Also, why on earth would it be inappropriate to have friends over and a cousin? Yes, every one of my niece's birthdays was super inappropriate because she had friends over and her cousins. That's so annoying. Being a stay-at-home mom is so much work, but only if you actually work. She said that he would interfere with her game, and the girls were there to play with Rose, not a 2-year-old they didn't know. To be honest, I really didn't know what she was on about either. I think it was just an excuse to not have Oscar. Just for clarification, your mom has time to babysit your sister's kids, but absolutely cannot do so for you in the middle of an emergency. Really? We are not focusing enough on how unfair and enabling your mom is being. It isn't the first time my mom chose to babysit for my sister instead of me, when I asked first, so I stopped asking her. But I was desperate this time, so I went for my last resort. Next story. Am I the a-hole for confronting my sister's girlfriend upon being accused of not caring about their baby? My wife, 35 female, and me, 34 male, have been married for over 8 years, and have been trying to have a kid forever. We have suffered 3 miscarriages in the process, the most recent one being over 2 weeks ago. Now, my sister Ashley, name changed, left her abusive prick of a husband over a year ago. It has been in a relationship with another woman, Brenda, name changed, for 8 months now. Over 2 months ago, Ashley gave birth to a baby girl. She came as a source of joy for all of us, considering that my wife was pregnant at the time too. However, around 2 weeks ago, my wife and I suffered our 3rd miscarriage. This was around the same time that Ashley began to behave strangely. She was constantly depressed, irritable, and weepy, and often attempted to drive the conversation away from her child and babies in general. These symptoms were there before too, but this was when they really began to come to light. It was then that she was diagnosed with PPD. Around 2 days ago, I decided to take my wife on a road trip to visit her parents to take her mind away from the miscarriage for a while. While we were packing for the trip, Brenda paid us a visit and asked us if we could help take care of the baby, as she wanted some quality time with Ashley. I knew that it would not do good for my wife's mental state to be around a baby right now, as it would trigger a lot of emotions. I kindly refused, and told Brenda that we were visiting her parents and we would not be available for a while. This really angered Brenda, and she began to call me out for being a selfish brother. She said that Ashley would never do this to me, and that we could never understand the problems they were going through, and at this point, taking a vacation and abandoning Ashley and the baby was extremely uncalled for. However, when she said that I did not care about the baby, that was the last straw. I countered saying that my wife already has enough on her plate to deal with, and she doesn't need Brenda's toxic vibes right now. I asked her to leave our house and take her negativity with her. Am I the a-hole for behaving the way I did with Brenda? Edit. To everyone who has been asking, Brenda and Ashley are both fully aware of the miscarriage, and were in fact in the hospital at the time. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Not at all. You took a stand for your wife. Your sister-in-law is being totally unreasonable and entitled and selfishly expecting you to watch their baby right after you suffered a miscarriage, and in refusing to even consider why taking care of a baby could be traumatizing for you too. They can hire a babysitter. Also, I'm really sorry for your loss, OP. Hugs. No, you don't get it. Only Ashley is allowed to have emotions. Opie's wife should be grateful to still act as a parent/babysitter for a moment. This reminds me of when I had 3 kids under the age of 5. One who was a newborn. It was keeping my neighbor's 2-year-old to make some money. My husband's sister had 2 kids and wasn't handling this well, so her husband thought I should help her out, because he couldn't be bothered apparently. That discussion didn't go well. Not a hole. Brenda thinks that demanding free childcare from a woman who just suffered a miscarriage is reasonable. While it's admirable for Brenda to want to support Ashley through her PPD, she is completely lacking in empathy for your loss. You did the right thing for your wife. Brenda is the next abusive partner Opie's sister has attracted. Likely narcissistic, coming by to enjoy Opie's pain and throw oil on the fire. Not the Opie. Best to go low contact or no contact. Brenda was way out of line. I'm sorry Ashley was going through PPD, but your wife's, and your, loss was equally as devastating as your sister's PPD, perhaps even more so. Both you and Brenda were protecting your significant other, but Brenda was going about it by being an a-hole. You, on the other hand, were not an a-hole. Not at all. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister make my son's birthday cake? My sister is an aspiring professional baker. She set up a Facebook business for it in 2018, and so far has not been able to build up much of a client/customer base. Part of the reason for this is she isn't the best decorator out there, and sometimes she's downright bad. Before setting up, back in 2017, she did taste and feedback tests with the family. She told us she wanted to know if/where she needed to improve and all that stuff. Cool. A couple of people told her she was great and that she should open her business because she'd be great. The rest of us, me, dad, older brother, younger sister, and my husband, all mentioned how she needed to lay off on the sugar a bit because holy freaking hell was she poisoning those cakes. And we mentioned she would need to refine her skills with the decorating side. She asked for specifics and we gave them. Especially on the kids' design because they were downright terrifying for kids. Tested on some of our kids. She didn't take it on board though, except for the sugar. She told us at the time we had overreacted to the designs and would see. My sister has 5 reviews on her profile. 3 of them are 1-star with the same feedback we gave about the appearance of the cakes. One woman had her 2-year-old cry when they saw the cake, and another had her 5-year-old say they were scared of it. The other one was more angry about it and did not hold back. The other 2 are 3-star reviews and say could have been a lot better. It frustrates my sister. She tries to grow but doesn't listen to feedbacks. My son is turning 8 this year, and it will be his first friend party due to circumstances. My sister asked if she could do the cake. I told her we had already ordered one, which is true. She was hurt would it go to her over another baker. She offered to cover the cancellation fee, and I turned her down. Then she got mad. Said how can she build her business if family won't even help her out and give her practice and a portfolio to build. I told her that she should start listening to the feedbacks she has received, instead of pressuring family to become guinea pigs for inventions. I also suggested she practice without getting an order, because it means she can provide a better quality product without using other people's money/celebrations to do it. She told me a good, not a prick, sister would give her the experience, and that it would mean so much more to my son to have a cake made by his loving aunt than some random baker. She has me feeling a bit bad because despite her telling me I'm a prick if I don't, I can see she's genuinely hurt we don't like her cakes enough to give her this. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister does not have a business. She has a Facebook pipe dream. After 4 years, she needs to face reality that she's not capable of baking for profit. I think that's kinda where my frustration stems. She could make it a profitable business/side business if she put in the work to grow and improve in her weak area, decorating. It has never felt like she has put that work in. She expects to grow as she works, but people don't want to pay for that. Your sister is trying to walk before she crawls. She needs to refine her skills. No one wants a cake from the 1-star Facebook baker. Except me. I'm in bed and it's 3 a.m. Please bring me a cake from the 1-star Facebook baker. Now. Not a hole. As much as I hate to say it, some people got it, some people don't got it. She seems to fit into the latter category. She apparently needs a lot more practice before she entertains her dreams of branching out into a successful business. It may hurt her feelings, but you gotta be honest at times. Too much negative feedback in early stages can downright cripple a fledgling business. She needs to be 100% confident in her work and have a portfolio of cakes/treats that she has made that she can provide on request. My wife takes photos of every cake she makes, even just to kill time, and is building up quite a collection of photos. I agree. If she practiced and learned how to strengthen her ability in the decorating area of cake making, she could be doing a lot better, but she needs to put in the work to learn. Not everyone has a magical skill right off the bat.